Can cheese change the world? It can when a coalition of Vermont dairy farmers, herb growers, cheesemakers, immigrant dairy workers, and food hubs get together. We're learning about cheese with dignity today on Across the Fence. Hello, Vermont. Okay, changing the world might be too big an ask, but if you believe in making Vermont's food system more equitable and sustainable, and you love great cheese, then this is the episode for you, because that's the goal of Vermont Way Foods. And now you can support it by buying a creamy herb-flecked farmer's cheese made with organic milk that reflects your commitment to fair wages and dignified conditions for dairy workers. Joining me to talk about cheese with dignity are Carlton Yoder and Marita Canedo. Carlton is the owner and cheesemaker of Champlain Valley Creamery in Middlebury, and Marita has been with Migrant Justice for the last 10 years and is the program coordinator for Milk with Dignity. They're both part of the dream team behind Cheese with Dignity. And Carlton and Marita, welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. It's nice to have you guys here today.
Thank you.
And I am very excited because we have cheese. Look at this, and there's going to be a taste test coming up. So you know this is always going to be one of my favorite episodes. Okay. Well, so something that I think is really cool about this cheese is that normally, right, the way that products come to market, you get this big capitalist corporation that comes up with a money-making idea and says, "Here, buy this." Yeah. And this has done something that is very different because we have the Northeast Organic Farming Association, and they said, hey, we've got some grant money and we would like to use that to help out farms and farm workers. What could that look like? And that's where the idea came from. So Marita, tell us about what happened next, because this is a cool story.
Yeah, so as you said, NOFA brought us together, Migrant Justice and Vermont Way Food, which is a great initiative of 4 food hubs that are supporting local producers to put their product on target markets. So when the dream comes to create a cheese line, and workers have been fighting for years to have a dignified working conditions and housing, it really creates a product that is sustainable in any sense. So thinking about environment, thinking about organic, thinking about animals. Now we're thinking about the hands that are bringing this food to our table, that are milking the cows, and it's really important how we, took some years and meetings about the logistics, creating a label, talking to Carlton, having all the beautiful recipe, delicious tasting. And finally, we signed an agreement that now it's in place.
And by putting all of those composite pieces together, it's like every one of these people, everyone's going to benefit. Instead of it being thinking about just sort of like the money-making operation, there is, the idea is to make money, but the idea is to also make sure that the profits are going toward values and supporting businesses that we can feel good about, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Carlton, you also were, instrumental in helping put some of this together because you had a relationship with Savory Dairy, right? And
Correct.
so you brought them into the mix.
Yes, and we've been organic since 2003 and hooked up with Savory Farm in 2018. And initially that was Joe Savory running it, and I didn't realize at the time that it was transitioning to his son Nate, which is kind of nice to see in Vermont, a farm transitioning to the
Love
next
a farm
generation.
transition, yes.
Yeah, probably few and far between these days, unfortunately. But so we started working with Nate, and at the same time they were also transitioning to grass-fed organic. So it kind of just, I feel like it's the way we should be farming if we can, and I think it was a nice farm for us to work with. It's kind of great to work with a small farm. Nate's farm is maybe milking 40 cows, mostly Jerseys, and it had the high butterfat and solids that we need for our cheeses.
Yeah, so we've got the milk locked in, right? So we've got the organic component on the milk, and then the piece that we made was to them to join the program for Milk with Dignity, right? So once they had been brought in as a partner, that's when they signed the agreement. Is that correct?
And that's correct, yes.
Tell us more about the Milk with Dignity
program. So
program.
Milk with Dignity is created by migrant farm workers that are seeking a solution and a response to the lack of protections and the economic injustice that farmers are facing. So when there is, not good housing, not good wages, not policies about sexual harassment or any violence, we cannot put all the heavy weight into farm owners. We know they are struggling. We know how Vermont dairy now is just, you know, in a place that is hard for farmers that love the land, love the animals, they are doing this because they don't want to be just big companies. So Milk with Dignity brings the people at the top of these companies in the supply chain to talk to the people at the bottom of the supply chain and bring this economic equity. So paying better to the farmers so they can use their money to provide better conditions to farm workers, and the downward pressure that they are feeling doesn't go all to the workers. So Milk with Dignity is really a solution that has been proven successful with Ben & Jerry's, and it's a win-win, as we call it, because the companies can really claim that any case of violence, any case of you know, discrimination is going to be addressed really fast, timely, and it's going to bring a solution. And not to say that the farms that are in the program have to be perfect. We want them to be successful, and actually we want the farms that are struggling more to be in the program, so then they have a way to improve the conditions, and the labor force and the farmers have a better communication. So it's a very holistic way of working together.
And there's a signal that is given to the buying public because there is a label that goes along with the Milk with Dignity program. So like, for example, you know, on the label for the cheese, it sports that cheese with dignity or milk with dignity label that then tells the consumer, hey, you know, I mean, when you are buying this, you are in part helping to support these types of programs, because with the label, I mean, one of the ideas usually behind labeling programs, behind organic, et cetera, is it explains a little bit about why there's a price premium for it, right? So you do know, okay, but this is what I am paying for. I am paying for the fact that it's, you know, our food doesn't always reflect the true costs of producing it, and so the labels help tell us this is the reason why the cost is the cost. Dairy is obviously, we talked about, a really tough industry. How does signing on with the Milk with Dignity program help farmers?
Yeah, so bringing the program into the farms help them to being successful not only with the economic incentive, but they have the Milk with Dignity Standards Council, which are investigators that are local, bilingual. They have a 24/7 support line. It's having your own HR team for free. The farmers don't pay for it, right? And it really helps the farmer navigate things like housing, for example, is most expensive. The program has helped raise funds for better farm worker housing, and working with Efficiency Vermont to have these ZEM houses. You know, everything comes together in a way that also help farmers not to have this heavy cost of raising wages, for example.
So let's talk about this cheese. So Carlton, you've got this great value-driven milk to work with. How do you go about deciding what kind of a cheese you're going to make?
Sure. So we worked for maybe 18 months to 2 years on trying to figure out a way to use whole milk in this process. We actually produce 2 cheeses right now that have cream added to the whole milk. So what that does is create skim milk in our process. So those 2 cheeses are old-fashioned organic cream cheese and organic Champlain triple.
Two things you're really well known for, too.
Oh, thank you. Because of that, we produce a skim milk cheese, a queso fresco line, that has generally about 10% whole milk in it. And then we decided just, in order to make it fit in our process without adding an extra day or 2 of production, we're a very small company, so I didn't want to stretch to 7 days of production a week if I didn't have to. We tried to add a little bit more whole milk to the product to make it a little bit richer and creamier. And then the addition of the herbs from Freeverse Farm in Chelsea, Vermont, has made a nice cheese for us that we're super happy with.
So a queso fresco style cheese. And I like the fact that that also adds this element of waste reduction to it. You know, I mean, it's like another added benefit, because otherwise, I mean, what do you do with the skim if you're not making it into cheese?
For a few years, our skim milk was literally going to pigs or down the drain, so it's not a great way to
get it in more bellies.
Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
Well, speaking of getting into bellies, one of my favorite parts of this job is taste testing. So this is the cheese. And you said, so it's got these herb flecks in it. What kind of herb is that?
So those are from Freeverse Farm, like I said earlier, herbs de Vermont, I believe. I'm not sure the exact blend. It is on the label. It's rosemary, savory, etc.
That is absolutely so delicious. Yeah. Okay, and it is. It's a. Is this a good melting cheese?
It's a great melting cheese. Yeah.
Because you said it's got a higher butterfat content, right? Because of the addition of that additional kind of cream you said to it, to the skim. Yeah, that is really, really lovely. Why did you want to be part of this project? Other than the challenge of just, hey, I'm a cheesemaker. I want to make something beautiful.
Sure. I just feel that what Migrant Justice does aligns with our values at Champlain Valley Creamery. So we feel that everyone should have a living wage and great working conditions, and just what they're doing for dairy workers in this state has been amazing.
I have a question. Since Severy Dairy, right, which is your sole producer of milk,
it
right?
is, yeah.
And they are part of the Milk with Dignity program. They've signed on. Does that mean that all of the cheeses that Carlton makes from this point forward can also get the Milk with Dignity label?
Definitely something that we are excited to talk about and see how the expansion of the program can go not only to Champlain Valley, but this is a great example, an initiative. If we can do this on a small scale, we can really do it with the big brands. We can invite all the other organics in Vermont. We can also invite the conventionals in Vermont. So we want, the Stonyfields, the Millers, the Organic Valley. We want the Cabot cheese. We want the,
Is this something that is exciting to you, the idea of being able to have that label?
I think it's a great way for us to be like the intro to hopefully bring all these other folks on board with this.
Well, it's a pilot program a little bit, right?
Sure.
You are going out, you're doing a proof of concept and showing that, one, we can develop this beautiful cheese, we can find the market for it. Actually, that is an important thing for us to talk about because, folks, you might have the answer to the question you've been waiting for is where can you buy cheese with dignity, right? Well, on your screen right now, there is a link for Vermont Way Foods, which is a really great organization. Check them out a little bit. They do more things besides cheese. And if you go to that link, there's a list of retailers who have ordered the cheese. And according to NOFA Vermont, the list is still in flux right now because new retailers are signing on, others are in between orders. So start there. Encourage these shops to carry cheese with dignity, maybe ask your local co-op or market to order a case because I think this is sort of how the revolution begins, right? One cheese at a time.
That's right.
Okay, Carlton, last quick question. What do you like to make with this cheese? What's your favorite use?
Yeah, so in our household, we are big pizza fans. So I think, as I said earlier, it's a great shredding and melting cheese. So I love it on pizza. If you're in a bind and don't make pizza, it's also, with the herbs in it, it's a great cheese on cheesy garlic bread. Just to complement with butter, garlic, and the herbs and the cheese.
Cheesy garlic bread, you've got me. All right, well, Marita and Carlton, thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you
Loved
so
learning
much.
more about the cheese, loved getting a chance to taste it. Thank you so much
you.
for all your work. And as always, thank you, Vermont, for learning and exploring with me today. And thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.